Hey guys, how you doing? Sean Huber here. We're going to be doing a video series on different people who have gone through coaching, where they were to where they're at to where they're going, have all different stories of entry points on what they want to accomplish in life and in the world. Everyone starts off at one area they believe that they need the most help with, then they start realizing different things as they go along through the process. So today, friend and client, Ilya, introduce yourself, give people a background of where you came from, personally, a little bit of information, and then professionally what you're doing, and then I'll get into asking questions on how it works.
Of course. Hello, Sean. Thanks for having me. My name is Ilya. I live in North Carolina. I'm 36, and I have a dancing shoe business. There's always boxes of shoes in my vicinity, excuse me. And what I do is I supply the dance world with high-end handmade dance shoes for their ballroom related needs. If anybody has seen Dancing with the Stars, that's the kind of people I work with. So they all need shoes, like we all need tires. So I'm the guy that supplies those shoes. Everybody's foot is different size, different length, width, heel height. I specialize in providing the right fit for everybody that comes my way. And I've been doing it for about 12 years. I'm also a coach myself on the side, and that's my second business.
So how did you, where were you born, first of all?
I was born in St. Petersburg, Russia. Came here 24 years ago with my family.
Cool. So how does a young Russian get into selling shoes?
Oh, that was my dream since I was born.
Funny.
Nah, I just like most things in life, it was either fate or a stroke of luck. I needed a job at the time when I was younger, about 17, so I found a shoe store to sell shoes out of. They needed somebody who speaks this tongue that I speak. So I sold shoes there for a while. And after graduating college, I saw an opportunity to branch out on my own. I lived next to a dance studio in Brooklyn and just kind of hustled my way into giving people what they need. I remember I was like maybe 16 or 17, and I had side jobs of all different kinds. I was working at a pharmacy. And there was a man that would send Western Union payments all the time. A pharmacy that I worked at offered Western Union as a service, and he would collect money, a lot of money from a lot of people on a weekly basis. He would just come in and pick it up. And I asked him one day, like, where's all this money coming from? He told me what it was for. I'm not going to say it here, but he said a line. He said, find something that people really need and can't live without, then you'll always be rich. And I don't know, I guess that line stuck with me as a kid. So when I saw that there's this dance world and they all need shoes, and I had access to the best handmade shoes and I was able to provide them, I thought to myself, hey, this is it. That's what the guy said. I'm going to do this. I've never danced in my life. My wife dances. I don't know how to dance. I do jujitsu. Uh, and I just carved out a niche for myself. I guess that's
How
it.
many people in that area in the dance world sell shoes, would you say, on a regular basis that are competitors to your level, or are they like below you?
There's probably about seven total players. I wouldn't say there's anybody above me. There's just one or two guys who would do their best to provide a certain level of customization that this brand provides, but it's a hit and miss. Some people love them, some people don't, and come back to me again. So yeah, about 6 to 7 players really.
Okay. So getting into this type of business got you to North Carolina. How'd that happen?
My wife and I lived in New Jersey at the time, and we just got married in 2019, December, and then the restructuring began. And our intuition told us that we need to leave a heavily populated area. So I call it divine providence. and chance again. Interesting. It's like chance rules my life in my favor. It's almost as if life is happening for me, not to me. We got into a car and drove to a friend's birthday party in West Virginia for a whitewater rafting trip. And as we were driving, we saw this sign, Raleigh, on our way to West Virginia. And we love board games, and we played this game a lot called Ticket to Ride, where you build railroads across America and try to win with the best route possible. There was always this city called Raleigh on that board game, but we kind of scoffed at it. What a stupid name. And we drove past it, and I said, hey, look, it's that weird city on the board game. And my wife said, well, let's pull in and see what's up. And we did. I had a real estate license at the time. We looked at 10 houses just for fun, just for the hell of it. And the 10th house, the one that I'm sitting in right now, it was listed by a Ukrainian realtor. And I pulled up, and her name is Olga. And we walked in, and there was Russian icons everywhere. It was kind of crazy. Russian art, Russian icons. And my wife and I were like, okay, I guess this is it. And we just bought this house and moved.
So without going to a wedding area for whitewater rafting, seeing a sign. So it's interesting how divine things happen. And the reason I'm bringing different things up is because you and I met because of a post I made, and you reached out, or I reached out to you. What made you want to do that?
It's a post that I made. It was a cry for help. I was choking and dying and suffering from the stagnation in my business. And I reached out to the business network that we're part of, Apex, with some help and guidance. And I spilled the tea on everything that's going on. And you just left a comment, hey, I'm the fixer for that. I got you. And we connected. We had a session. I loved it. And I hired you. It was pretty simple.
How many other people reached out to you?
3 or 4 people total reached out to me.
It's interesting how in the right place at the right time, the right people show up. And I've been doing this for over 20 years, and it's interesting how business is created. But it's not just business, it's relationships. And relationships grow, relationships change, relationships become sometimes bigger and deeper than we sometimes realize. So you and I get on a call, I may have said the right things, and you're like, hey, let's do this thing. What were your expectations of going through a coaching program? And have you ever worked with coaches before doing what we were doing?
I've had a coach since 2017. So for me, this was a little nerve-wracking. I felt like I was cheating on my coach a little bit. But then I realized that's silly stuff, and I can have as many coaches as I want. And that probably comes from dance world. In the dance world, you're only supposed to have one teacher. If several teachers are influencing a couple, then they cannot have cohesive output on the competition floor. But I got over that. What I was expecting is a cleanup, a perspective shift, and a guiding, kind of like a whetstone, I guess. Another professional who's ahead of me, who has seen the turbulence that I'm in, came out of it. I needed somebody that I could lean on in a pragmatic way, not a, how do I say it? Like a mercurial macro concepts. I needed some tactical in the moment kind of solutions. Like, for example, I've never done hypnosis before, but even just last night, I listened again to Michael Seeley to fall asleep. And I often think about you when I'm in bed by myself, because I put on because I put on Michael Seeley, and I would have probably not found out about him unless you and I had a super powerful hypnosis session that really affected me. And then I just started listening to him almost every other week. Now, I could have found Michael Seeley by myself at some point,
Right.
But because it came from you, and because of our session was so potent, and you dropped that name, the authority influence that comes with your name is what really planted in my life as a staple of my daily or weekly routine now.
Yeah, it's interesting because I added in hypnosis for the fact that when I'm working with people, I'm like, listen, if I can give them an advantage which my wife has called this the unfair advantage, that can get them further along at a quicker rate easier, that's what I want to do. And that's why I really tapped into it, because I realize like the subconscious has a huge role in what we do or what we don't do, and how we start to view the world and how we view ourselves. And my whole philosophy with coaching was everything starts with you and it ends with you. And everyone builds all these external things like how much money they make, their businesses, all their accolades. And when it really comes down to it, if you're not happy with yourself, none of those things actually matter. So since we've been working together, what major shifts or minor shifts have you really noticed, or other people around you've noticed?
I had some realizations that I am sitting on a gold mine of resources in my dance world. I kind of suspected it, but I didn't have anybody to really point it out the way you did. Also, I realized I've been undercharging for coaching sessions tremendously, and I've since made adjustments to that. Thank you, sir. It's really hard to say, man. I like facts and tangibles, but coaching with you is inexplicable. I want to sound mystical or nothing, but after our sessions, things just work out. It's I don't know how else to put it. And maybe
It's like you aligned with going to the wedding, whitewater rafting, seeing the name, ending up in Raleigh. I lived in that area for 22 years. Are things synchronicity, like happening with each other? Are they just happenstance, or is it luck? And what I've known, the coaching that I provide is based on a system. It's a year-long system. We've been through the first quarter of that system. What I know is as we start to align ourselves with everything, be it our health, mental, physical, spiritual, even, we're resting better, we're eating better, we're sleeping better, we're exercising more, our energy starts to shift. It's like tuning a good guitar. All you have to have is one string out of tune where it sounds awkward. And when you start to tune that in, everything else starts to harmonize together. And it's interesting to watch how, like you were just talking to me about this microphone. I've got the microphone. I got to plug it in. You're like, well, why haven't you done it? I'm like, well, I have. It's just I need to work on this thing a little bit more. And there's certain things that I've asked of you to do, and you're like, well, I'll get to that eventually. And why are we hesitant? I'm not. I plug it in. I've had issues with the mic before where it wasn't as clear on certain computers with other people, but for me it was fine. So I'll, readdress that and see how it works, and maybe it does make a difference. And then what we sometimes are hesitant to do isn't because we know that that thing isn't going to work. It's just that one last piece that, okay, the strings on the guitar are tuned, but they're a year and a half old. It's gonna break. Am I gonna wait till it breaks and in the middle of a song playing it somewhere important? Or why don't I just, as I'm playing it, every 6 months I change it? I don't wait for the oil in my car to go bad before I change it. It hits a certain mileage, regardless of how many miles how I got to those miles, the oil's changed. It's a way in which to preserve something so it stays, being preventative maintenance. And most people don't do preventative maintenance, and you've done a lot of that, which has tuned you into so many different things. So as we've been working together in your personal life, what has shifted greatly from in your health, first off?
Started working out a lot more. It just so coincided that when our coaching began, my wife became pregnant. So a new level of urgency has sprung up. As you so well put it, I have 6 months to get some sleep and get my affairs in order. So as a result of that, I started working out more. I found this cool organization. Well, I didn't find it. I knew about it for 2 years. It's called F3. You wake up at 5:30 in the morning, work out with a bunch of men. By 6:15, you're done. I didn't take it seriously. Now I take it seriously, and I try to attend 3 times a week. So 3 times a week, I now wake up at 4:45 And at 5:30, I'm at some workout location with 10 to 20 men ready to go. Simple stuff. Cardio, get our what's that called? BPM to 150 or so, and just kind of keep it there. Been doing a lot of jujitsu.
How
Been
about eating?
uh, intermittent fasting is what I've integrated.
Drinking?
Now, yeah, I've cut down on drinking a lot. Um, alcohol, I still drink water. Eh, just major improvements all over the place. What
How's your
a checkup.
attitude in your relationship with your wife changed?
I wouldn't say it changed at all. I've loved her always, and the same way I do now, with or without working with you.
How about communication?
Mm. Well, I'm probably mimicking you in some way where I ask open-ended questions more so as to drive her. Oh, well, hold on a second. My wife also opened up a dance studio about a month after we started coaching, and I've been helping her with that a lot. Right, yeah. There's so many synchronistic things showed up when she needed me. Like I needed somebody to put up a mirror, or she needed someone to put it up. And miraculously, this person showed up into my life after I did something good that I wasn't expected to do. So that's the magic that I was referring to. Things just tend to fall into place when the frequency is aligned.
And at the same instance, I have a group of people, men, who meet. How has that been? That's a part of this.
Right. So Sean, every Thursday at about 6 p.m. Eastern, has a cohort of men that he goes through some line of questioning, and men get to be together and be vulnerable. It's good because it shows that I'm not the only dumbass out there. And everybody else is trying, and I get to see glimpses of different men in their different seasons of their life. Some I admire, some admire me, and it's cool. It's cool to have a contrast because in our vacuum of hubris and self-righteousness, we tend to forget where I am, where I'm going, or how far I've come. Nice, thanks.
So, since all this has happened, what are the major aha moments that you know that you can do if you choose to do? Because again, guys, coaching, I mean, I may give some suggestions, but the action that Ilya's taken is his choice. He's taken it. Could he have taken more? Yes. Could he have taken less? Much less if he wanted to. So the concepts and ideas that we've discussed, not all those have to take place, but because of those conversations, how much more confident are you in the future for personal growth and financial growth moving forward?
My biggest aha moment is I don't have to be a shoe guy for the rest of my life. My biggest aha moment is in the background, I've been accumulating influence in so many different areas of my life. For example, I know every single dancer. I sell thousands of shoes a year, and I know where everybody lives. I know their age. I know who they might want to dance with. One of our mini projects is creating a database of all the dancers looking for a partner. That could be a business. Integrating coaching into a mindset for the athletes could be another avenue. There's just so many business avenues that are primed and ripe in my possession, the gold mine that we mentioned earlier, and I'm just not acting on it. And that's the aha moment. If I want to, it's available. My ability to execute is the only bottleneck, or maybe even my willingness to execute is the only bottleneck.
Yeah, it's
So
interesting
for this
how,
coach,
yeah, there's all kinds of things. So the thing that I also want people to understand is you're not doing this alone. You're doing it with me. You've got a group of people. You've also brought on other people to help you with your business. You're not selling shoes by yourself, correct?
yes.
So that's growing in that area of getting quality employees and nurturing them. And then you're gonna create systems that help them become more accountable to their actions so they have more ownership of the company. And then you've also brought someone in, I believe, to help you with the back end of the business, the systems, to make sure that 100% of the action is taken instead of the momentum, which takes a lot of work. But that sometimes that last 10 to 15% we don't necessarily like to do. And that is the actual thing that can trip us up. So the first reason why we get into coaching is to create a solid foundation to build everything off of. And as you've been moving forward, you've been putting into place those people and positions to help you create that solid foundation. So how are those people supporting you in this foundation?
Great point. I've run out of brochures for my shoe business for quite a while, like about a month or two ago, maybe more. So I've just been selling shoes without any pamphlets, any brochures, and I don't really know how to do that. But one of my younger employees does. She's 18, and I kind of assigned it to her, and she banged it out. And even after the brochure was done on Canva, I still dragged it out for another month until finally they kind of called me out. My employees like, "What are you doing? Come on, let's print these brochures." So we got them printed, and they're beautiful. And I was inspired to even make business cards as a result of that. So I made business cards for me, all my employees, pretty cool business cards with a QR code. Use some more resources that I have, like phone sites. I had a little QR code that takes them to a phone site's intake form. So it, I was just so scared to assign anything to anybody, but at the same time, I was stagnant and immobile because I get paralyzed by the volume of all the things I gotta do. So the biggest thing in this coaching is doing for me is I find the courage to delegate. And it sounds so silly in hindsight. Why am I afraid to delegate? Because I care about this business and I don't want anybody to screw it up. But what I'm learning is I'd rather have someone screw it up a little bit than nothing getting done at all.
So what do you, I mean, so are you screwing it up by not doing anything more so than if you had help?
Yeah, totally, for sure. Plus, this help that shows up generally does a much better job than me. And now it's a question of hubris rather than fear.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole concept when people go into certain coaching scenarios, be it one-on-one or in a group, that they're expecting someone to do all this for them. And what we've done and what I like to do with a lot of people is say, hey, the ball is in your court. You have a choice. There's no right or wrong choice. It's just a choice. There's an action, but where the hesitation takes place, that's where all the damage happens. So from, you know, paying people, vendors, to taxes, to our health, I'll get to it. Like I've had some personal things where if I would have said, I'm going to get to it, I don't think I'd be here right now. So listening to that inner voice is a huge thing that I really like clients to be aware of, to take in, to realize that communication is not just verbal, it's the action we take, it's what people are seeing, it's what people are feeling. And as we start doing these things, more and more people start to take notice of what we're doing, but they're not sure exactly what we're doing. And they'll ask you, and they're like, something's different. And these slight changes are creating huge impacts, not only on yourself, but other people. You're giving people opportunities, you're giving yourself opportunities. Where do you see like the next 3 to 6 months, the biggest growth happening in your life that you're looking forward to, that is going to be challenging, but at the same time has to have this solid foundation in place to make happen?
In 6 months, I'll be a dad,
Yeah.
I'll have a kid, and I expect a huge paradigm shift on so many parameters. Not only do I hear stories of this will be my first child, not only do I hear stories about everything changing instantaneously when I see the baby, but also since my youth, this has been the final missing piece that I somehow in my adolescence assigned myself.
Okay.
Business, car, wife, house, child. So I got the first four, and I'm super
Cool.
happy with them. This is my fifth element. Multipass. And you seen that movie? You kind of look like Bruce Willis. uh, my biggest shift will be, what am I gonna do so that I can be home more often with my wife and my baby?
So that's
And
getting
that's what it
more
is for
time.
me.
That's creating more time. So the premise of all what coaching is about is to be a better version of yourself, to allow other people to assist you to ascend whatever we believe in life is where we should be ascending to. You've got projects where your wife has a school about to open. You've got people you're going to meet in your travel you're going to take, and experiences with your wife and friends and family and the new baby coming. And all of it stems from a choice. And the choice is, we get to say the one question, what if? I always ask. And a lot of people go down the rabbit hole of the negativity of, oh, if this doesn't work and that doesn't work, what am I going to do? Or what if it all works and then we get more? And that is the shift in energy that people sometimes aren't aware of, where you get the extra half hour sleep, you get up an extra half hour early. So you're getting the same amount of sleep, but the quality of sleep is different. You're putting down your cell phone or electronic devices, you're getting up and you're writing and you're doing some form of meditation. It's self-care. You're like, why does this work? Because we're just dialing in all the pieces of your own puzzle that you've created to create a clearer picture. Remember back in the day, you'd get on, you'd have this little crazy dial, and I don't know if you're aware of this in the United States, we had this dial for our TV that would rotate this giant antenna, and we'd get 3 channels. And if you'd stand on one foot, I swear to God, it would become clear. And then cable TV came in, and all these antennas came off the roof, and they were obsolete. And then we had Blockbuster, where we didn't have to watch TV at a particular time. We could then put in a tape in and we could watch it. And then came the DVD and then the DVR, where we could record a show. We could record multiple shows, and now we have instant access to everything. And you would have thought that all this technology and innovation would have freed up more of our time. But the reality of it is, it sucked so much more time away from us because we have choice to watch it or not. We all went down the curiosity trail and get sucked into, oh my God, I've been watching this for 5 to 10 hours. What happened? Where the complacency in life has taken place to make us comfortable, and we're okay with it. And there's nothing wrong with being comfortable. But the reason why I love coaching and working with people such as yourself is you want more. You're choosing to go get more. And sometimes we're not sure exactly how to get there, but we do definitely have to surround ourselves with people who are like-minded. We're going for the bigger picture. So where's that one thing in the next year that you're really wanting to challenge yourself with, that I can support you in a way that you're going to double or triple your income and work less hours, say 20, to cover your bills, and everything else gets to become vertical growth for financial wealth, for financial freedom, to create that generational stability that you can pass down to generation after generation? Because Ilya is known not as a guy who made a ton of money, but a guy who had money, who invested it into people and created this amazing impact on the world. Where do you want to start with that in the next year?
The biggest one thing that would allow that to happen is cleaning up the mess that is. I have all the puzzle pieces. They're on the floor, some upside down, some right side up. And I have the box right next to me, and maybe half of it is put together. Let's finish putting the puzzle pieces where they need to belong. That is, of course, things like finances, assistants, virtual assistants or whatnot, right people in the right seat, correct vision, and correct use of resources. Not freak out about how many pieces are all over the place, but rather get excited and come up with a strategy. Like, all right, well, let's outline the border first. Let's separate all the right colors and put them in piles of red, blues, and greens. That would be the one thing that in a year, in 2025, April 23rd, I'll have a kid, and peace, knowing that the wheel works and the brakes work and the gas pedal work, instead of just clinging onto the wheel and hope there isn't a sharp turn on the horizon.
It's interesting what you just brought up about the puzzle pieces, because I saw a video the other day of a girl who competes in building puzzles. And there's
Mm,
huge competitions throughout the world. And like you said, what they first do is they flip all the pieces upright. Then they put them all different color coordinated piles, and then they build the border, and then they build inward. And the speed at which they do this is incredible. And they're like,
yep.
listen, if there's certain colors that are the same, it can become more difficult. And their brain just goes, and their hands are moving as their eyes are looking, and they're just putting all these pieces together. And does that take away the hypnotic effect of doing puzzles at a slower rate? And that's what's interesting. I've watched so many shows that they have on TV now about guys' barbecue competitions, building swords, glass blowing, building cakes. These people are amazing at their craft until there's pressure put on them to perform in a time limit. And they crash and burn, even though they know their trade so well that they start creating shortcuts and they have hesitations and they go farther outside their bounds than they're capable of doing because they haven't practiced that particular skill set yet. And the ones who succeed just turn up the pace a bit so they don't falter on the way. Because if you screw up something or something breaks or falls apart, you got to start all over. So instead of them rushing through it, they take their time, they go a little bit quicker, they measure everything twice, because I've seen people in the sword competition who were short an inch and were disqualified because they didn't take that second measurement. And right now, you've got an opportunity to say, hey, not only how wide does this base have to be, but how thick down does it have to go in this foundation to support as we grow vertically, not just laterally? Because a lot of people have created jobs for themselves. And you're in the business right now of creating a career and taking that same system and putting it in different areas for growth, and realizing like, hey, there's going to be some setbacks, there'll probably be some mistakes, but the reality of it is that's where all the learning takes place. And if we can surround ourselves with other people who've done similar things, we can also pull from their successes and also their failures. So the big takeaway for you with coaching is, what would you recommend to people about coaching that you really love about it?
Coaching isn't an admission of one's failure. It's an unfair advantage to a faster arrival. That's what I would recommend. I hesitated with coaching for the longest time because I had this narrative in my head running. I don't need a coach. I'm not an idiot. I can figure this out. And then later it evolved into, like I said, an unfair advantage. Why would I not have a coach? What a dumb thing not to have. Somebody, you, has suffered and failed way more than I have so far. And you're here to trade just money for your time and experience. And I'm not being facetious. Money is the cheapest currency. How much is a relationship with you? I have your phone number. So many people don't. I have other people's phone numbers. So many people don't. I built those relationships. I can't put a dollar on that. But money is so easy to get. So my recommendation is upgrade your perception from, oh, I got to hold on to this money because I know everything, to, hey, what if I can trade some of this money, whatever coaching costs, to get to where I want to get to faster from somebody who has already done the work that I am just now finding out I got to do.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about you saying that is, it's not like once it's done, it's taken away. It's something you can always
Yeah,
use.
it's mine forever now. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I'm learning so much from you, not just as your client, but also how you talk, how you structure things, what you bring to the table, how you look at me, how you interrupt me, how you let me talk. All of these things I'm picking up because I see you as an older professional that that is generous enough to gift me your time. Wow, thanks. So I'm gonna take that, and then
I'm glad you
with
went
that idea in mind,
older, not
somebody else.
old.
Oh,
Glad
what?
you said older, not old. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Well, yeah. What are you, like 10 years older than me? Maybe less. Uh, but in the same way, somebody else, I will be Sean Huber for somebody else in a couple of years, and that's cool.
Well, you already are now. That's the interesting thing is, like you and I have discussed how we can combine certain things to get the best out of the people that you're talking to, because as people forget to realize, the super successful of the world don't have one coach. They've got three or four. And the people aren't always in their lives permanently, but they serve a purpose. They come back to them or they upgrade or they do different things. And it's interesting to watch when we start to work with other professions that they're intimidated sometimes. Like my background, I tell people, hey, if you got a personal trainer, I'd love to sit down and talk with them and show them how we can work together to get you the best results. And they sometimes are hesitant, like, oh, I got it. I'm like, there's nothing for you to learn, huh? Okay. And that's the whole thing, is I'm not the one all be all for everyone. And we're all different. And I love having conversations with people to sit down and say, hey, if I'm not the right fit for you, I'm not going to let you just sit there and hang out in the breeze. I'm going to help you find that right coach, because you're out there searching. And for me, not to be involved in that search of any type is a disservice to you and to my profession in general. Because if someone comes to you and says, hey, man, I need some help, I'm like, sorry, I'm too busy. What do you do with that? You're sitting there stranded and you're like,
You
stuff.
well, we kill the drive of an individual. We don't have that, right? So much has been given to me. Who am I to shut down somebody walking behind me, so to speak? Absolutely unacceptable.
And the other big thing I think that a lot of people start realizing when they're doing this type of work is you also have to be willing to receive as much as you're giving, because that's the exchange of energy. And the exchange is, as you give, you should be receiving twice as much. So allow that to come in. And again, maybe you can't use it immediately, but you can spread it to the people who need it immediately. So I want to say thanks, man, for coming out here and doing this, because this is the type of thing that I love sharing, and using the platform that this will be put on is going to get exposure to what you do, to what I do, and who knows who's going to get something out of just listening to you and I have a conversation that motivates them to do something a little bit different than they've ever done before, and realize like, hey, it's never too late. And that's the whole key to this is go out there, quit hesitating, take action, find the right people in your life. Remember, it's never going to be a perfect time or a perfect place. It's just taking that first step, saying, hey, I'm going to do something different, and realize it's not going to be perfect. You are going to get better, but keep getting better, 1% better every day, and you'll be there eventually. So appreciate you being here. Any final last parting words you want to share with people?
Yeah, I never even made the plug for my brand. If there's any ballroom dancers listening to this, it's Aida Dance Shoes, and it's AidaDance.us. I'm only laughing because I know this is a coaching thing, but I've listened to many podcasts, and it always starts with the plug, and I just kind of just steamrolled over that. The guy sells shoes.
We'll put
But
some
no, that's
show
not
notes. We'll put some show notes and some contact information on it.
that's not the last thing I want to say. The last thing I want to say is thank you for hearing my cry, stepping up, and improving my life in so many ways. You've invested so much time and energy into me, and I'm grateful and excited to pass it on to whoever needs it next. Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. Thanks, guys, for being here, and check out the other videos that are coming this way. Bye.
Later.